Hello, church. So here is our devotional for Saturday, May 23rd. I want to go back to something that we had for our Friday devotional. And it caught my ear, but I didn't say anything about it and kind of let it sit. There was a pretty distinct difference between the NRSV and the message that we had. I wasn't particularly thinking about it because I'd run over a piece of commentary about it. But going along with my mother's advice of telling her students before she retired, I apologize in advance for the dirty part. So the way that I have normally encountered it, and let me go ahead and pick this up because we'll give you the NIV too. In the NRSV, it's the line, a time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones together. And my thought, I was thinking it was, about some of the Levitical laws on behaviors and, how we are reacting to people in the community, a time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones together. But then that's throwing them away. It's not throwing them at somebody. And gathering stones, are you building something? So there's, intriguing context. The NIV similarly does a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. Little bit of commentary for you. And it's going to use the word midrash, which we have talked about before, I think in Psalms, if not Proverbs as well. So the midrash are the gatherings of teachings coming out of Scripture. They are not the Scripture themselves, but they are the rabbinic teachings of the Hebrew Bible. And Towner makes a reference to that. The medieval midrash, Kohelet Rabbah, so I would assume like Rabbi Kohelet, interprets the reference to scattering and gathering stones in verse 5a as a strict parallel to embracing, i.e., both are metaphors for sexual relations. And then he gets into a little more detail. So the way Peterson comes across with that line is a right time to make love and another to abstain. And if that caught your ear like it caught mine yesterday, there you go. And if it didn't, you're good-hearted people. Now, let me scroll down just a little bit for the rest of the stuff. So we finished up yesterday the poetic section, which is verses 1 to 8. These very familiar words, most likely to us, on there being a time for every season and this kind of point and counterpoint all the way through the text. Today we turn into our prose section, so this written portion, and some neat pieces from Towner, from the NRSV. What gain have the workers from their toil? I've seen the business that God has given to everyone to be busy with. He has made everything suitable for its time. Moreover, he has put a sense of past and future into their minds, yet they cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. I know that there is nothing better for them than to be happy and enjoy themselves as long as they live. Moreover, it is God's gift that all should eat and drink and take pleasure in all their toil. I know whatever God does endures forever. Nothing can be added to it, nor anything taken from it. God has done this, so that all should stand in awe before him. That which is already has been, that which is to be already is, and God seeks out what has gone by. Just to go ahead and counterbalance that last verse with the NIV, the way it does the translation, whatever is has already been, and what will be has been before, and God will call the past to account. So kind of pretty different context there for between translations. Um, I'm not going to get into it, but Towner also does a segment on a scholarly debate on the Hebrew word that for the NRSV was translated as a sense of past and future. In IV, I think it comes across as eternity. Some more modern scholarship is uplifting the theme of world for a context, but ultimately Towner's going with the phrasing as eternity or sense of past and future. A couple paragraphs for you. In the prose section, which follows the poem of verses 1 to 8, the notions of the rhythm and rightness of time are pursued further. What gain have the workers from their toil? The teacher asks in verse 9. His answer takes the form of religious truth claims about human endeavor. And 113, the business that God gave humans to do is unhappy or even evil, which is a very good point. This thing of struggle and not so in verse 10, because now Kohelet has supplied an important context for human striving. It all takes place within suitable, and it gives the Hebrew word yepa, time. God has made everything suitable for its time and has given human beings a sense of having a place in the stately unrolling of the universal everything. Predetermined providential plan of God. The good news is that the presumably good God has provided direction, even finality, to the course of human history. The bad news is that people cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. Withholding this knowledge is within the sovereign authority of God. By refusing to show the trump cards of the future, God keeps humanity, who want to know good and evil, who want to have an unassailable name, who want to compete with God in awe and submission. It goes without saying that what cannot be known by human beings also cannot be changed by them. Verse 11 is the very epitome of one of Kohelet's principal themes, the impossibility of knowing what is truly going on in the world. And his final paragraph. Within the awful incomprehensibility of the big picture of verse 14, however, God has made a gift of the possibility of human happiness. It is a gift made to all, a teaching that amidst the deterministic reservation voiced in 5:19 and 6:12 that God enables only some to enjoy life. As Gordis has pointed out, Kohelet teaches that joy is God's great commandment for man. Verses 2 to 13, therefore, are ethical teachings. When the teacher says, be happy and enjoy, eat and drink and take pleasure in toil, he means that to accept God's gift of life is to be obedient to the will of God. Now, a little bit of Peterson for you. Good insight on a very familiar scripture from Towner and Peterson's. But in the end, does it really make a difference what anyone does? I've had a good look at what God has given us to do, busy work, mostly. I got to do that one again. Sorry. But in the end, does it really make a difference what anyone does? I've had a good look at what God has given us to do, busy work mostly. True, God made everything beautiful in itself and in its time, but he's left us in the dark. So we can never know what God is up to, whether he's coming or going. I've decided that there's nothing better to do than go ahead and have a good time and get the most we can out of life. That's it. Eat, drink, and make the most of your job. It's God's gift. I've also concluded that whatever God does, that's the way it's going to be always. No addition, no subtraction. God's done it, and that's it. That's so we'll quit asking questions and simply worship in holy fear. Wow. We'll repeat that one too. I've also concluded that whatever God does, that's the way it's going to be always. No addition, no subtraction. God's done it, and that's it. That's so we'll quit asking questions and simply worship in holy fear. Whatever was, is. Whatever will be, is. That's how it always is with God. Nice use of reputation. That's good. Of repetition by Peterson in that part, and really connects back into that poetic section that we had, and then gives us a little bit of return there to finish off that section. All righty. I think we're going to go ahead and do a vacation from the devotional for Monday, and we'll be back with you on Tuesday as we most likely finish out Ecclesiastes chapter 3. All right. Have a good day. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.